Are you tired of living in a modern, progressive state? The Western world, which is continuously moving towards ugliness, hate, and insanity? Well, Vladimir Putin has the answer for you. Yes, indeed, he is inviting all traditionalists to move to Russia. Indeed, this is coming from a post that I saw, first of all, on Twitter from Alex Jones. Yeah, whatever you think of Alex Jones, who cares? It's just where I saw it. Coming from the Russian news agency, Russia offers safe haven. If I can make this a little bigger, for people trying to escape Western liberal ideals. Under the document, such foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia outside the quota approved by the Russian government and without providing documents confirming their knowledge of the Russian language, Russian history, and basic laws. This is from Moscow, August 19th. Moscow will provide assistance to any foreigners who want to escape the neoliberal ideals being put forward in their countries and move to Russia, where traditional values reign supreme, according to a decree signed by President Vladimir Putin. Under the document, such foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia outside the quota approved by the Russian government and without providing documents confirming their knowledge of the Russian language, Russian history, and basic laws. Applications may be based on the rejection of their country's policies aimed at imposing destructive neoliberal ideals on people, which run counter to traditional Russian spiritual and moral values. The values are listed in the foundations of Russia's state policy in this field, while the Russian government is expected to compile a list of countries imposing unhealthy attitudes on their citizens, and most of the Western world, right? The foreign ministry has been instructed to start issuing 3-month visas to such applicants as early as this September. In February, Putin supported the idea of Italian student Irene Cecchini that Russia should ease entry rules for those who share traditional cultural and family values. The head of state agreed that each case required an individual approach. Pretty interesting. So, no matter what you think of Vladimir Putin, um, and I'm not saying I'm going to move to Russia, even though I do think that their traditional values and their politics are superior to Germany in many ways. I'm not a Putin fan. I think it's a very complex situation, and I think that he's not the only bad guy. I also do not think he is a good guy. I think he is clearly someone who is he's a thug. He is a guy who has started war, even though you know, from his point of view, perhaps it's a little more just than most people in the West can possibly understand. Doesn't mean it is. War is almost always evil, and thus, I'm not a fan of someone who starts one. But if you really think that it's part of your country or should be, again, it's nuanced, and all that NATO has done in the last 60 years, pushing ever closer to the borders, even though they swore that they would not. I understand why the head of Russia would be pretty upset about it. Now, let's put Putin aside, right? Let's just put it aside for a minute. How smart is this from Putin? And I wonder if you're going to see this also from someone like Viktor Orban in Hungary, maybe Donald Trump if he wins the election, maybe elsewhere if say Argentina with Milei, pretty much offering people who have your ideals, the ideals that you want in a country, to come in and to immigrate, right? To join a country and to help build that country and to leave where you're from because of the ideologies of said country. And when you think about it, how much more genius is that than say like America right now or Germany or England, so many other places throughout the Western world that are just allowing in anyone, anyone who wants to come in, and particularly Muslims who are supposedly fleeing war-torn countries. Some of them are, most of them aren't. They're just trying to, you know, get rich, in the Western world, or join a soccer team. I've seen that with my own eyes. Many of them have these um, ideals, these dreams of grandeur that will never possibly happen, and they're sold that by us, by the Western world, or by the NGOs who go over there and tell them, "Hey, come on over. You'll have the life that you always dreamed of in Germany, Italy, England, America." And then they leave them to do nothing and leave them for the state to take care of them, and with no possible actual future. Now, compare that, what's going on in the Western world, to someone like, again, like Putin, who's saying, "Hey, look, we want people who have traditional values." Literally traditionalist. That's in this report. That word. And that is definitely what I consider myself. I don't consider myself right. I don't consider myself conservative. I consider myself a traditionalist. This is what Pius X said we should be, traditionalists rather than innovators and modernists. And I think that, and again, as he said, they're the true friends of the people. And Putin saying, "Hey, if this is who you are, if you want to, if you believe in family, if you believe in patriotism and country and in basic traditionalist values, which are individual values based on the rights given to us by God, not by the state, of life, and of Catholicism. You can't say religion, but of knowing, serving, loving God, so we can be happy with him in heaven. Of course, that is a right that we are given by God, and a duty, of course. And Putin's just saying, "Hey, if you're someone who feels like that and you're living in one of these poop hole countries, come to Russia." And it's genius. It's absolutely genius. So instead of being one of these European countries, it's just like, "Hey, Muslims, people who want literally a different law, like actually, they want laws that do not actually are not, currently in place in these countries. They want to change the law. They do not want to follow the law. That is factual. Do not want to become part of the society. They do not want to, you know, ingrain themselves in the culture or society of the country they join. They want to change that culture. That is part of their religion. And that's like the lightest form of it, just trying to change the culture. Some of them want to kill everyone who doesn't have their religion, unless those people join their religion. So it's really ugly stuff. And this is factual. This is, there's no debate here. There's no denial of this. It's true. And so we need to keep that in mind when you see, again, someone like Putin who's saying, "Hey, no, we're not going to bring these people in. These people who want chaos and disorder and war and to bring their own issues to us. No, we want good people, traditionalist people, people with value, morality, faith. That is what traditionalist values is." Now, Russia, yeah, they're Orthodox, so they're not Catholic, but they hold to many of the moral values that we hold to. Not all of them. Not saying they're perfect. And again, I don't like Putin, but I've spoken with Russians, and they love their country. They love Putin, and they're really conservative. Maybe traditional. I hope they're traditional. That's what this letter says, right? Maybe that I don't know. But I think that what the media has really done in the last years is to make it so that we hate like Russia's the big bad guy, and you've seen this in Hollywood movies for the last decades, right? The bad guy is always some Russian. He's always Russian. He's always communist big. And yeah, sure, the communists were terrible, and they ruined Russia and much of Eastern Europe, part of Germany. But that's gone. That's gone for a long time. It's at 35 years ago, since I was born. It's not really existed. I guess it has, but it's slowly, progressively gotten better. Now, you still see definitely echoes of it. What is it? I think what do they call it? Czechia now? It's no longer Czech Republic, it's Czechia. Um, I think it's the most atheistic country in the world, if I remember right. I think that's Czechia. So some of these countries that were, deeply, ingrained in the USSR are still, you still see effects of it. If you go to Czechia, I've been there several times, you still see how poor it is and kind of run down, and communism is bad. Okay. But the fact again that Hollywood is just promoting them, oh, it's always Russia's the bad guy, Russia's the bad guy, Russia's the bad guy. You see that all over news. Of course, Putin, Russian intervention in the elections, Russia, Putin. Okay, really? Yeah, he's not a good guy, bad guy, pretty much a dictator. Yes, But the actual values in Russia, if you just take a minute to look, pretty impressive. And it's something Tucker Carlson saw when he went over there. They're clean, they're friendly, they're traditional. And maybe, we're not going to move to Russia, but maybe we should understand that this is a pretty smart play by Vladimir Putin. And maybe someday, God willing, let's pray for it. Pray for our leaders of our countries, wherever we are, that someday we have someone who says, no, all you Muslims can't come in. Traditionalists, you're welcome anytime. I'm Kevin Davis. Till next time.